So it's all speculation at this point. I have great faith in what they do and in their decision-making. Whatever it is, I know they're not going to jeopardize the franchise's long-term future unless something really makes sense to them.
Hey, Coach, how we doing tonight? What's going on?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic, man. Obviously, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time for the entire NBA world, and I mean that in multiple ways. I'd love to start by just kind of revisiting last weekend and maybe getting a little bit more of an idea from you on how unique of a weekend this was and what kind of hour by hour you guys had to go through to be people and then also still do your jobs.
Yeah, it was very unique, very different. We're really not used to, being in an environment like that, kind of right in the eye of the storm, so to speak. And it was really tough to see a city that was struggling. People were so sad. The game itself on, I guess it was Sunday, the first game we played there, was one of the most bizarre games I've ever been part of. It was just so somber. Other than, occasional chants about getting ice out of the city. But it was just really a wild 4 days, obviously terribly sad with the death of Alex Pretty and, his friends and family grieving and the whole city grieving. It was, it was almost surreal.
So what is it like on Saturday where, you get word that the game is canceled? Is it something that you sit down with the league with? Is it safety? Is it just the emotions of it? Just walk me through how that process goes.
Well, we were getting ready for the game. I think it was a 4:30 game. So we had a staff meeting like at 10 o'clock. And during the staff meeting, Mike Dunleavy texted me and said the league is considering postponing the game. We had just heard about the latest shooting death, in the city, and so I was on, kind of on call with Mike, but then I got a call from Chris Finch, the Timberwolves coach, and so I stepped outside of our meeting, and he just told me their team was really uneasy about playing. Their families were scared. Everybody was so on edge. A few minutes after that, Joe Ingles called me, one of the Timberwolves players, and told me the same thing. And I told both of them that it was really, we were leaving it in their hands, and the league's hands. Whatever they had decided to do, we were going to do. It's their city. We were the visitors, and we just wanted to be respectful. And so ultimately the league made the decision. I think it was the right decision to postpone the game. And it's not often that something like that happens, obviously.
And then where does it go for you and your guys? Like, how were your guys and how did that conversation go?
Well, a lot of our guys were already over at the arena by the time the decision was made. And so we had to just kind of change everything logistically, let the guys know the game was being postponed. So a lot of them adjusted their workouts. They were over there for pregame warmups, but knowing the game wasn't for another, 26 hours, a lot of the guys adjusted their warmups or went to the weight room. Our training staff was over there. A lot of the coaches were there, rebounding and all that. So it was, it's just, hey, everything's postponed and let's readjust.
And you get outside of the emotions of it and the tragedy of it, and you realize, another back-to-back. So now you're going to play Sunday and Monday. And so you probably have to launch into what do we do and how do we manage this?
Yeah. So that was the next step for us as a staff, knowing that Al and Melt are not playing back-to-backs due to their circumstances. We had to pick which one, knowing that Steph and Draymond were both banged up. Steph's knee had made him questionable even for the game that was postponed, the game that was supposed to happen on Saturday. He wasn't sure he was going to be able to go because of just how his knee all of a sudden started to feel in warm-ups. So we had to make the decision what do we do with Al and Milt and, Steph and Draymond? We decided to play them all the same night. And, Steph and Dre felt well enough to play. And, but we knew that it was unlikely they were going to be able to play both.
Steve Kerr with us, as he is every week on Willard Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Hey, just since you brought it up there with the back-to-backs, we're getting this question a lot. I have this question, Al and Melt, they're both starting to really cook. They're both starting to really look good. But in particular, DeAnthony Melton, because that's not an age thing, that's a rehab thing. Is there a thought, is there a plan to get to a spot this year where he's just good to go whenever?
It's totally up to Rick Celebrini and the training staff, and he's been out basically for 2 years. So this has been a long haul for him. We're going to be extremely cautious. Talking to Rick last week, he said he's not ruling out Melt playing back-to-backs at some point this year, and so hopefully he continues to progress and feel good, and the knee responds, and we get to that point, but we can't really make that judgment right now.
While we're on the health topic, it was not lost on any of us how the update the Warriors put out about Jonathan Kuminga was a little vague in terms of when there would be a reevaluation. What can you tell us about how he's doing and any plan that you have for him?
Yeah, he left the trip early. He came home a couple of days ago to really focus on rehab, and so we're hoping that he's not out for too long and that he'll be able to play. But it literally is one of those things where it's just day to day, and I'll be in there tomorrow. Today was off, but tomorrow I'll be in the facility, obviously with our game against Detroit, and I'll get a chance to talk to Rick and CJK and. So hopefully this won't last too long.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, no games. I don't know if you're emotionally or mentally prepared for all the free time you're going to have, but might that be a time when, could Kuminga be really looked at and reevaluated more then to get a sense for the Philly game after that?
Yeah, again, I don't really know because, it was a weird injury. He tweaked both his ankle and his knee in the Dallas game. And, so I know he had an MRI, which was clear, but he's having to deal with both the ankle and the knee, and it's just going to depend on how he's doing over the next few days and what Rick says and what the training staff decides.
And Steve, let's see if I can count these up correctly. I think you've played 5 basketball games since Jimmy got hurt. What have you learned during that time about the team and about your new sort of recalibration?
Well, our depth is really holding up. We've got a lot of guys who can play. You saw that last night. I think nine players in double figures or 8 players in double figures. You can see that guys are ready. And Jimmy's absence is obviously going to be felt in a big way. But we've got a lot of players who can't wait to set foot on the floor, and they can help us win. So I would say we're still kind of sorting through everything right now, trying to find rotations. We are pretty confident we're going to start Al and Draymond now that Al's minutes restriction is up to where it is. And I really like what I'm seeing with that combination and that starting lineup.
And Moses Moody last night was a big part of the lineup, and he was great for the majority, if not all, of the basketball game. What does that starting 5 do, not only for Moses, but for Pods as well?
Well, we get the size that Al brings with his shooting, and 2 great defensive frontline players with Draymond and Al, and that helps protect us in the paint. Moses is our on-ball guy. We're always going to put him on the toughest perimeter player, and I think BP is a really good defensive player himself. Steph is an underrated one. So, our defense has been solid all year. I think we're 6th or 7th in the league in defensive rating. And the last couple of weeks, our offense has really kicked into gear. So even with Jimmy's absence, I think we are a pretty good team, and we have a chance to be very competitive every single night. And It's so frustrating that Jimmy got injured and obviously such a devastating injury, because he was playing at such a high level and our team was really coming around, and I think we all felt like we had a real chance to go deep. And you take Jimmy out of the equation, it obviously makes that much tougher. But the whole point of all this is you go for it. You keep plugging away, you keep working, you keep tinkering, and we got a lot of depth. And as I said, I'm confident we can win a lot of games.
Steve, just because it kind of came up there, one more on the health and minutes restriction thing is what you guys do with Al set in stone because of his age, or is there a chance that maneuvers a little bit going forward too?
The back-to-backs are we've decided on just because of his age. He won't play in back-to-backs this year, but with the minutes are increasing. The reason I feel comfortable starting him is that his minutes restriction is at 24 now. We feel like we can accomplish, both starting him and finishing him, using those 24 minutes without having him, have to sit too long. So, but the whole idea is we preserve him, we keep him in a good rhythm, we keep him healthy, and then come playoff time, hopefully he's in great shape and we can play him a little bit more.
All right, Steve. Okay, trade deadline in 1 week. Spill the beans. What are you guys going to do?
I talk to Mike pretty much every day, and he keeps me up to speed on stuff. But honestly, what he told me the other day was that everything's gonna go till the last second. There literally hasn't been a single thing that he's called me about where he said like, hey, so and so offered this or that. Not one thing. So it's all speculation at this point. It's going to go down to the wire. Mike's actually overseas traveling right now, watching some prospects, and he'll be back obviously soon. And then he and his group will be very busy next week. But very, very strange time of year for the team, especially. Last year was crazy, the trade deadline, what happened, and this year all the speculation. It's not easy on anybody.
No doubt. And I think we'd love to hear a little bit about more about that. But I also wanted to do this. Like we're reminded of a conversation you had with Tom Tolbert last summer where, and I don't have the exact quote, but you sort of intimated that when all of the stars on the team are north of 35, it would be crazy to do a deal that gave up all of your future capital because these guys are going to retire at some point soon. Do you still feel that way, or does the Jimmy injury potentially change that thought?
The beauty of being a coach is that you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I believe in the separation of church and state, and my job is to coach the team, and I'm focused on that. It's Mike's job and Joe's job and the whole group, to decide what decisions are made. I have great faith in what they do and in their decision making, whatever it is. I know they're not going to jeopardize the franchise's long-term future unless something really makes sense to them, and that's what they have to assess and decide.
You have great faith, which I guess makes you church, and Mike Dunleavy thus would be state based on your faith. I'm going to go ahead and telegraph that. Thank you.
That's good job.
Last year you guys were in Utah and the trade went down, and it was emotional to have that many players go out. Yeah. Is there any way for you to prepare your guys for that, or is it just the reality of being in the association?
Yeah. It is, but that doesn't necessarily make anybody, at ease during this week. It's hard for everybody. I got traded, I think, 5 times as a player. Twice when my kids were in school. That was not easy. So a lot of guys are dealing with, that type of emotion. And I generally don't say a whole lot to the team, as a group, but I usually talk to individual players, check in with them, see how they're doing. And but it is part of the deal, and everybody knows it. You sign up for it, and you you have to embrace it all, whatever comes your way. That's the hard part of the job.
Just because the rumors have obviously been somewhat centered on Jonathan at this time, has there been a specific conversation between you and him about this deadline?
He and I have had many conversations this season about his future, about his current status on the team. We talk frequently. We have not spoken about this trade deadline for the last week or two. We talk all the time, and I'm always very, very transparent with my players. I think everybody wants honesty, and I'm always open to conversation with all my guys. And if I see something that needs to be addressed, I always bring it up.